Okay. So hopefully, people can hear me, give me a thumbs up on that are on the Zoom. Apologize for, our being a little bit late today. I had trouble with the new, code lock to get into the townhouse. So, took a little bit longer to get this, up and running. But, I'll go ahead and, call us to order for, the September 16th, meeting of the Town of Lewisboro Tenant Advisory Board.
We just did, yeah. Okay, yeah, we just started, yeah.
On the agenda today is really one main item plus a very important secondary item. The one main item is the consideration of making a formal recommendation by the AAB on the location of the South Salem cell tower based on what we've heard to date. And again, this is really a recommendation to have the town board proceed with their decision-making process. And that really brings up our secondary item, and that is something that we were just discussing as we were coming on to today's meeting, and that is preparing a briefing document for the town board just to get them up to speed on all the deliberations that the AAB
So I'm
has
the only one
had
on
over
the
the
original
last 4 or 5 years
legal
surrounding
case that is on the
South Salem
meeting.
cell tower considerations.
Oh, there's a guy from
Dealing with
Homeland
the salt
Towers.
zone, considering the alternatives, which most recently involved looking at the South Salem Presbyterian Church steeple site. And we thought and discussed at the last meeting that it would be useful to provide the town board members with a briefing document, since not all of them were on the town board during all this, and even if they were, they probably weren't following it with the degree of interest and intensity that we have here at the AAB. So that's our agenda for today. I guess our first order of business is
Fuck
to
off.
approve the minutes from the April 10th meeting, I believe it was.
I make a motion.
Yeah, go ahead and make a motion.
We approve the minutes.
Well, I think we should amend them to say that it wasn't, Verizon didn't provide anything saying that it was approved solely for the salt dome, and in the minutes it says that. Let me just find where it says that. Verizon's position, salt dome remains the only approved site. Do we have something in writing saying that?
I think that's
From April?
I don't know that we have that from April, certainly, so we can amend, I can amend that
Say
to
preferred
to
site?
say their preferred site, something
Right,
if that's
right.
acceptable.
No,
to everyone.
because Manny said, well, okay, yes, let's do that.
Okay, and then I've already fixed the typos that I think
Okay.
Tony mentioned. So with those adjustments or amendments, or do we have?
A motion
Approval?
to approve with adjustments?
Yes, motion approved with adjustments.
I'll second that motion.
Okay,
In favor?
All in
all in
favor?
favor?
Aye.
Okay. So we approved the April 10th minutes. I see that, well, I thought I saw Brian Porco on, so Brian, if you are still on, you can weigh in, but I don't see you now.
Who's Brian Porco?
All right. So let's move on to the first order of business, and that is making a formal recommendation from the AAB for the salt dome site. And the context of this, that's been I think repeatedly talked about at the last few meetings, that we've been discussing the South Salem cell tower site for the better part of 4 years, if not 5 years, certainly as long as I've been on this board, and most of you have been on this board. And, we keep going around, in circles, is there a viable alternative to the Salt Dome site, which was originally presented, by Homeland Tower on behalf of Verizon. And we have explored, I think, the alternatives, that, have been presented to us that, included a site next to the, South Salem Animal Hospital, over on Route 35. The, South Salem Presbyterian Church, which, I, was a proponent of, just because I thought it was, would have given us a concealed tower, and would have helped, the church, which, has some financial needs. And then, there was also, some discussion of improving the, antenna capabilities of existing towers, in the vicinity, which, is probably more of a stopgap solution rather than a permanent one. But, we feel like we've looked at, all these options, extensively. And, in the meantime, there, still is this overriding need for better wireless cell service in, the town of Lewisboro. And, how much back and forth do we continue to have without, moving ahead with a cell tower, and the Salt Dome is, appears to be from the carrier's perspective, the sole viable solution at this point. And so, we've had some sidebar discussions on this. I see, that, Ray Brigatti from Homeland Towers is here on the Zoom. And I gather from, some of our pre-discussion, Ray, that, there is going to be a few questions that hopefully we can ask you and get addressed, so that we can, move to take a vote on making a formal, recommendation, this evening.
And-
have I encapsulated that well?
You have, but I was just gonna suggest,
Okay.
prior to taking a vote, maybe we can, because we do have this correspondence from Verizon. Do we wanna?
We could read that into the record.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want to go ahead and do that, Tony?
Yeah, sure. So
What's the date of it too?
that was today at 5:09 PM. So we had reached out prior to this meeting, 2.5 weeks ago. We were waiting on an update from Verizon to see where they were in terms of the optimization work that they were looking at doing at surrounding sites, and then do another review of the gaps in the area. So, and at that time, this is going back to April, they said that the Richfield site was no longer an option, the one that they were looking to, I think it was the water tower that they were going to put antennas on. So I did get a response today. They're going to follow up with a formal letter for reference, but in the interest of time for this meeting, the 3 bullet points was, number 1, the church location previously evaluated was and remains insufficient because the height limitation, which he believes it was limited to 90 feet for engineering reasons, is not sufficient based on the elevation at that location relative to the Salt Dome. Bullet number 2, in terms of sites evaluated to date by our RF engineer, only the Salt Dome is sufficient to provide the necessary coverage for the area. Bullet number 3, unfortunately, there is no optimization of surrounding sites that will suffice to provide the needed coverage for this area. So those are the 3 bullet points.
Can we talk about the bullet points?
Sure.
Their height is incorrect for the church. It's over 100 feet.
Mm-hmm,
So I don't know where they got the footage from. I have drawings and stuff like that. I mean, we're starting at like 89 feet. And the change would be 30. We're talking 130 feet or something like that. So
Right.
I'm not sure where Verizon's getting their information from.
Okay. Well, this is Robert Breyer. He says, I believe it was limited to 90 feet for engineering reasons. So,
Okay, all
yeah,
right,
so
so
we need to,
my point is
Yeah.
that we need to sort of, we're beating a dead horse here. We keep
Mhm.
going back and forth on everything. But the only thing I ask is that, the options that were afforded in the April meeting be explored, and they were not. Simple.
Maybe 90 feet could be the equipment height. I mean, the peak of the steeple
They're being told
is not.
what the height is.
Well, I think we can, I think when Manny explained this, the last, was he the April, the prior one, I think he did go into some detail on the height limitations based on, both the aesthetic and other considerations. So, I presume Verizon has that information. I'm not sure if, is it Richard
this is Richard's no longer there.
Oh, okay. That we have in the email. Yeah, I do have, we tried to get an official letter from Verizon that would, I'm presuming would restate those bullet points officially from them. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get that in time for this meeting, but I have been told that it's forthcoming.
Yeah, he says,
Yeah.
May I ask another question too? Ray, you're on the call. So, we had talked in April, 6 months ago, about maybe putting together a lease agreement, so to see if Verizon would bite on it. Right?
Mhm.
Ray, you were privy to that. You weren't at the meeting, but I emailed a couple of times. Two things. Ray, you guys did the drawings, the tentative drawings with the scale and stuff like that. And it was over 100 feet. I'm not sure where the 90 feet come from. And also too, I'm not sure what happened with the tentative lease agreements that we were going to put together to see if Verizon or AT&T or T-Mobile, if anybody would bite on them. So, we're sort of hobbled by the fact that we're not contacting Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. This is, so anyway.
When we say we, I mean
We
the
as
South Salem
government.
Church.
No, we as the antenna advisory board, forget about the church. We
Okay.
can't contact, we're sort of getting an answer from Verizon, but
Mhm.
I'd love to see what the drawings were, from that Homeland had graciously done.
Right.
So,
And maybe Ray could answer this, but I know, and this has been the case with the other tower, at least a Cross River Tower, and it was as well as the Town Park Tower. Verizon is always the first tenant.
I
of these
understand.
towers. Now, I don't know if that's the case, if AT&T would want to be the first tenant.
But I don't know,
T-Mobile,
but I don't
yeah.
know, yeah. I understand that a lot of times Verizon may be the driving force here,
Right,
but where are we getting that information?
right.
Who's telling us that Verizon's driving force?
Well, I know when we put up the Cross River Tower, Verizon was the
First signer?
first signer.
Sure.
And AT&T only went on the town tower
Hmm.
because they knew the Cross River Tower was gonna be put up.
Right.
So then, at that point, they decided they were gonna go on the Cross River Tower as well.
Just
Well, I can state that,
Yeah. But again,
in my
Brian-
efforts to contact Verizon directly, they've redirected me to Homa Towers on more than one occasion,
Right.
saying that Homa Tower is their representative or real estate representative, or what the official term is for this area, town of Lewisboro.
Right, and maybe we can have Ray speak to that if you.
Yes, so what happened with the lease agreements?
Yeah.
Ray,
That-
Ray, we're throwing a lot at you, if you're prepared to.
Sure,
respond,
sure.
Unmute you, or you're unmuted yourself. Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, Ray Brigatti with Homeland Towers. I'm the regional manager for this area. To answer your question, going back to the height question, we didn't just provide, drawings. We had our engineer come out and look at structural plans that were provided us by Sam in the church to understand what we were looking at, understanding that the steeple burned down, I think maybe back in the 70s, and we were working with some concrete block and wood flooring to basically do a steeple rebuild. The existing steeple, I believe, is roughly 80 feet, 79 feet and change. I think where the confusion on the height is coming from is from a engineering standpoint, the rebuild was designed with a top steeple height of 104 feet. However, if you think about it, the spiral comes to a point. You can't put an antenna on the very top of it. So you have to run a pole up through there for structural purposes. So the first antenna rad center or center line of an antenna that we could put, be it Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile, or any carrier, would be 90 feet. So it's not that the steeple is being proposed at 90 feet, it would be being proposed at 104 feet in total height. But the first slot or the first top set of antennas would be at 90 feet. You needed that, 14 feet or so to pitch the spiral up.
Would there be any problem with going to 120 or 130 feet with the steeple?
Yeah, we ran this, our A&E. Sam, I know you're out there when I think we did a few visits out there to the church, and they worked off the drawings. They ran it and they were testing the limits, designing it up to 104 feet. We have to work with what we have to work with how the church is currently constructed. So we've been, trying to work and push Verizon to get something in writing. It's my understanding, as well as I think Tony mentioned or Joseph mentioned, that Verizon will have a letter, I think, by the end of this week, stating that the steeple rebuild just doesn't work for them. And look, we're just a developer. We don't design their network. We don't pick their heights. We don't do their coverage plots. They're in the business of providing coverage as a carrier. And we were disappointed because we were hoping that the steeple would work. It's not a cost issue for us. I think at the end of the day, what we would spend to rebuild a steeple from a construction cost dollars versus putting a new tower facility in, it's probably an apples to apples. But we have to go on what the carrier is saying at this point. I know Manny has had conversations with the other carriers, be it AT&T and T-Mobile. This just won't work. They need a tower. They need to have this. I think the Salt Dome was proposed at 130. I'll tell you from an elevation perspective.
What happened?
It's changing speakers and it's messed it up. Sorry.
I believe the elevation is almost apples to apples. The Salt Dome is right around 454 in elevation, and the church steeple is, I think, right around 541. So roughly, 15 feet.
Ray, can you? Sorry, I messed up the audio. Can you repeat what you just last said? Just so
After he says about Manny talking to the carriers.
Yes, Manny, we speak to the carriers all the time. They're our tenants, they're our customers, and we have relationships with them. Obviously, Verizon is the most active. It appears to be the most active the past few years in Westchester County and really in Connecticut. They are considered an anchor tenant in going on and driving these sites, be it a raw land site, which is a new tower site. But I was saying from an elevation standpoint as well, that the ground elevation at the Salt Dome, I believe, is roughly 554. The church on Spring Street is roughly 15 feet lower, so we're already losing 15 feet in elevation. And then you look at the 90-foot antenna height versus 130, you lose 40 feet there. With the difference in elevation, you lose another 15. So the engineers are trying to make the site work. They can't. And we're just delivering that news. And again, I know Verizon, in our conversation with them, will be providing a formal letter to the AAB and to the town.
All right, thanks, Ray. Any?
Sam had a question about the lease.
Oh yeah.
Right.
What is the status of the proposed lease agreement for the South Salem steeple site to Verizon? Because that was something that came out of the last meeting that Manny had said that we should go ahead and proceed with preparing a lease, or that the church should proceed.
Well, it's sort of like, it seems like a moot point, but my question would be that, what happened with the idea we were gonna try and see if we had some sort of lease agreement, not possibly signed, in April, May, June, July, August. Because we talked about, Manny had said that he would, let's put a lease agreement together and see if it will bite.
The lease agreement first in the tower world, the lease agreement for the ground or for the landlord space always comes first. And as Sam, you know, I've had conversations. I know our last correspondence, I think, was late June, early July. we had difficulties in ascertaining the deed for the church because it went back so far. And I know there was a fire back then, and you were kind enough to do some digging and sent the handwritten deed from, I think, the 1700s to us. The first step in getting Verizon to sign a lease with a company like Homeland for the steeple replacement is to first secure the lease with the church. Again, we've been pushing the engineers, and they finally said, you know what, we cannot make it work. And that's where we stood. We couldn't move forward with the lease with the church, hence we can't move forward with the lease with with Verizon.
So let me just paraphrase to make sure I understand. So, because the outcome for the last meeting was we were going to proceed simultaneously with advancing the Salt Dome idea, while also in parallel advancing the South Salem Presbyterian Church steeple with this lease presentation. And you're saying that sort of got delayed because of this deed issue, finding the deed for the church property, and in that period of time, the engineers sort of came back and said that there's not a point because it's not going to work from an engineering standpoint. Do I have that?
That's correct. Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
And Manny, can I just ask to be, so Ray rather, can I just ask to be 100% clear? Are you guys saying from an engineering standpoint, it is not possible to build the steeper higher than the 104 feet that you guys looked at?
Yes, we designed it for a replacement height of 104 feet, and that was basically pushing the limits for the replacement of the steeple. So that's coming from our A&E.
Okay, thanks, Ray.
Rob, any thoughts from you? All right, Ray, thanks for that clarification. So I guess
Let's continue the conversation. We handle all the questions that I put out.
okay. So I guess I'll come back to or if we make a motion to make a recommendation, are we prepared to make that recommendation?
Can I just add one thing, Joseph, when you
Sure.
were summarizing the sites that we had looked at, because I know that, for our second point, we want to prepare a briefing document on this. So it wasn't considered at my time on this committee, but as I understand it, and as Ray mentioned, there was an alternative site at the recycling center that the carriers didn't want to proceed with, not from a technical standpoint, but because of the public opposition.
Yeah.
So just for the sake of completeness.
That's a good point.
It's
We should make
important
sure
just,
that that's in the briefing
I
document
have
as well.
four options are in the briefing document. So option 1 is the recycling center, 2 is the Salt Dome, 3 is the Route 35 Animal Hospital, and 4 is the steeple. So
Perfect.
Mhm.
That's
Okay.
good. Yeah, we just
Perfect.
didn't mention that.
Yeah, no, that's right, because that came up in the public comment the last meeting as well about the recycling center, and I think one of the takeaways from that was to get clarification that Verizon at least had decided not to pursue that officially at the recycling center, or whether it just sort of dropped off the table. And
No,
They-
there was too much pushback.
It was
people.
it was
yeah, but I think they officially dropped it,
Yeah.
even though,
The analysis was that the coverage was actually better at that site, if I'm correct.
yeah,
Right, but there was so much pushback from the people that it was dropped.
yeah.
But that was either the carrier or Homeland that said we didn't want to proceed with this. That wasn't
Rob,
this group or.
you would see that.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I think
don't mind looking at cell tower if I have good service. It looks like it's like an inch on the horizon. So for me, it's not that big a deal, but I'm not the only person.
Yeah, absolutely.
so. I don't know.
So I'm happy with
Yeah.
either site, or any of the sites actually, but.
I just think it's I
So-
think that's good that we've got that in the
Yeah.
record, right? Because
Yeah.
we're transparent about all the considerations.
And there was
that we
also,
put,
I think
right?
there were a couple of private locations too under consideration by
Yes.
land.
Ray, but from what I understand, in a conversation that I had, I don't know if it's official or not, but there was a private site that was under consideration. You know anything about that?
I can tell you that my history for this area goes back to early 2000s when I was looking for Nextel. So I've approached quite a few landlords, property owners over the years.
Next down.
Yes, Nextel. That's how long the carriers have been trying to solve this puzzle piece. I will tell you, and we certainly have discussed this, we have sent proposals to Echo Farm, to Farview Farm. I've spoken to landlords along Bowway, Woodway, Mountainville Road, Spring Street. We've just never been able to get interest from a private landowner to build a new tower.
Okay.
And with regard to the recycling center, do I have the right that do we have the right that Verizon is no longer considering that, or is it still a potential viable site from a Verizon perspective, from your opinion?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I'll have to double check with Verizon on this recycling center to see where they are, the latest.
Okay.
There is also the fact that that's a proposed site for a sewage treatment plant. The same site, I don't know if they could coexist. Probably could.
Probably
but,
can, yeah.
Sewage treatment plant at the recycling center?
Well, in that vicinity,
Oh,
in that-
okay.
somewhere around there.
Maybe
Yeah.
I'm thinking over
Yeah.
it.
I mean, it's a small footprint.
Different departments.
Yeah, different committees do that. Okay. So,
It's actually over here.
yeah, no, but certainly we should include the information we have on that in this briefing document.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, ultimately, I'll say again that the AAB, has an advisory role, and, I'm sure our opinion carries a huge amount of weight, but ultimately, the town board decides what to proceed with.
For the town properties.
Well, for the town property,
Entity,
exactly,
entity.
exactly.
I just want to clarify, Ray, so there are no existing private sites that are willing to rent.
At this moment in time, there are no private sites that work. And just for my own clarification, when you say the recycling center, we're talking behind the townhouse at 11 Main Street, correct? Because I know we did a site visit there, we did a balloon float there, and visual
Yes.
and so forth.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, we've.
I think I think when I think it was even prior to me joining this illustrious committee, that the regional back and forth was between the Salt Dome and the recycling center.
Yeah,
that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. And it seemed like
That adds Sam into the mix.
And then we,
well,
Right.
and then we decided, no, let's get.
No,
the
I mean, I
church
think-
to try, sure.
I stated at the outset that, I was proponent of
Rather see the church get it.
the steeple site for a variety of reasons, including the concealment factor, but I can't force the engineering to work.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so what's the proposal here? Do you want to have more discussion or?
Do we want to wait to get this official letter from Verizon first, or?
That could be built into the meeting.
Yeah,
Only if we have another meeting scheduled. And a deadline.
or we, yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know that, I mean, from my opinion, and you're all welcome to weigh in on this, but, to wait on a letter and do another meeting
Yeah, yeah.
just with that letter that we kind of
Yeah.
know what it's gonna
So we can make
say.
a
I don't know.
recommendation contingent on.
I mean, we could make a recommendation,
Yeah, we could change the-
contingent on this letter confirming,
Right.
essentially those bullet points.
But let me ask you a question. We're talking about moving forward with producing this document, this summary briefing document to the town board? We're thinking about voting on that tonight?
Well, and I think that, I mean, we could take a vote on that, but I think that's kind of a great suggestion, given that we would want to compile what we've learned in some sort of briefing
Right.
document to the town.
I understand we have to give them something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think
Well,
that
my
makes
point
sense.
is I got it at 6:23 tonight, 40
Well,
minutes.
no, we're not gonna vote. My plan wasn't to
It's not
vote on
complete,
that.
so-
My plan wasn't to vote on that, but just to discuss progress and how we can help Rob make further progress on it. And then, yeah, because ultimately, Tony, you'll have to, call,
Put on the agenda.
put it on the agenda or figure out,
Last week,
whether that's a working session or a formal board meeting. I don't know what the.
Yeah, it'll probably be like towards October Yeah, well, it wouldn't be the next meeting, September 29th.
Yeah.
But maybe one of the October meetings,
But
potentially.
do we wanna put a motion in to officially put that on the table? Cause that's probably the easy one at this point is.
Maybe come up and finalize the briefing, the
Finalize the
The
briefing,
briefing.
We need a
in-
motion for that, we just need to throw together a meeting, finalize a briefing. Does it need to be approved to finalize a briefing?
Probably
I don't know, I don't think so, but
I don't think
I
it's-
thought that's what you were asking.
I didn't know if you were voting on submitting this or we're gonna.
No, I just wanted to bring it up as an agenda item so that we could help Rob, pull it together in any way that we.
Do you wanna,
Yeah.
do you wanna briefly, it's 10 pages long and you've seen most of the graphics.
Yeah, I mean, well, what, I mean, I mean,
You should have an opportunity to look at it.
yeah, I mean, you put it together.
It's not an airplane.
I mean, what is potentially missing in your view that?
So I mean, it was basically, I have a lot of material about the initial process,
Okay.
the first two proposals. The second or the third proposal, which was the animal hospital, I don't know how worth it is to go back and get, more material.
Yeah.
It's off the table.
Yeah.
It was taken off the table. And then the steeple, if we have any more information, I can fill it in with the stuff we learned tonight or we heard tonight. And even just a diagram of what it would potentially look like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then, that, I just have an executive summary, which is basically Foresight's proposed study to be considered during the 5 years since we formed this committee.
Yeah.
Or this, as currently, 3 of the sites, I say in this, have been rejected for various reasons, maybe one of them is still not fully rejected, the steeple. And then there's one remaining proposed site, so that's something I would adjust, that's in my.
Yeah, okay.
Draft.
Yeah.
And then I talked about the city consulting, that was 2021, believe it or not, and it concluded in 2022, 3 years ago.
It's amazing that's been that long,
And,
yeah.
only 24% of the people in town said the cell service was adequate, that was one of the conclusions.
Yeah.
74% said it was poor or non-existent in their homes, and 2% reported excellent cell service. I don't know who those people are. And then another stat, 98% of respondents said the quality cell service was essential. It's kind of a gimme, but and then I have details and I have links to all the documents, all the things I can find over the years. It's like a glossary.
Thanks for putting that together.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah, I'll look through it and if there's anything more that
Yeah.
I have that puts in and, particularly this addendum email that Cityscape sent me that was their sort of quick and dirty comparison of Salt Dome versus, Sturk Steeple.
Yeah, that was what.
Yeah.
Yeah, what Sam was.
I think I have that linked in here. but-
Okay, good.
because I feel
don't
like
know.
once the town board has this under consideration, all you guys are gonna get us, what about this, and did you think about this?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
what happened with
Yeah.
this?
This is.
So for everyone to have that all
That's all.
provided, I think
Okay.
would be really useful.
That's fantastic. All right, so that's our homework to review this document that Rob has got sent around.
If we say 4 to 6 weeks, we reconvene, and in the meantime, go through this.
Yeah.
Make it so that someone who hasn't seen it, like you give it to someone on the town board who hasn't been part of this
Right.
process.
Mhm.
They may know something about this,
Right.
but just hasn't feel like educated.
Exactly, yeah, so they
Yeah.
get it last minute
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, so I'll send a planner around for a follow-up meeting. for
Right,
this
yeah, I
one.
think we should do that, yeah.
To kind of do the discussion thing, and that will sort of
Yeah.
feed the timeline for you,
Yep.
for the town board.
Okay.
That sounds good.
That sounds good.
Do we need a formal vote on that or?
No, we
No, I
can
don't think so.
figure out a date.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll send a planner around after that too. I guess that leaves us with doing a vote on the recommendation and public comment, and which order we want to do those in. Any thoughts on public comment
Well,
first?
the recommendation, I think, has to go along with the document, right?
Well, I mean, I think we make the recommendation, I mean, I think if we make the recommendation and we vote on it and approve a recommendation that, that becomes part of the document, but I don't know that eliminates all the other considerations that would
Okay.
support a.
Right,
Probably good.
I mean, we could make a recommendation based on after all of you
Yeah.
review the briefing document, you can make a recommendation post that review.
So probably a good idea to have a discussion first, because people don't want to say something, feel we can
Okay.
put Forward, just.
We'll open up, I mean,
Suggestion. of
yeah,
what
I mean-
Difference it'll make.
I'll move to open public comment and then we can close public and then. Determine our recommendation, close.
Okay.
Do I have a second for public comment?
Second.
All in favor? All in favor, aye, so, public comment, I see Carol Cernak has her hand raised, Carol, can you? Can you
Hi,
hear
it's
us?
Carol Cernak. Carol Cernak at South Salem, New York. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, we can hear you.
Yeah, I just think, that the easy way out is to suggest that the cell tower goes with the Salt Dome because it's town property owned. But you forget that it goes in between two historical farms and a historical district. So I'm not sure that the 15 feet you're gaining at the Salt Dome versus the church is worth it. And if 98% of the citizens in Lewisboro complained of cell service, how many of them were in the area that cell tower would cover? How many people in Truesdale don't have cell service and sign the petition that they don't want it at the recycling center? This can go on and on and on, but to put the cell tower in a 130-foot cell tower in between Echo Farm and Farview Farm, which Route 35 used to be part of Farview Farm. That's why the nature preserve was donated to cover the activities at the Salt Dome by the Wallace family. I'm just not sure what your thinking is. Tony, you should know better. This is a historic district that is important to the town of Lewisboro, and you go messing it up, and it's going to be forever. Who maintains the tower? Who takes it down when it's disabled? Where are all those conversations? What about the wetlands that surround the Salt Dome site? I mean, come on. This is all, BS as far as I'm concerned. You're just looking for an answer and you don't have the answers. You need to keep circling back, circle back, circle back. The Salt Dome is not the spot for the cell tower. Thank you.
Okay, Carol,
The
thank
only
you.
reason the only reason for the Salt Dome to go with the cell tower is that the town gets the money for the rental. And that's my feeling. Yeah,
Well-
no, you shake your head, Tony. You put it at the church steeple or put it at the recycling center. The best place that Homeland Towers said was at the recycling center. So how many people on Lake Truesdale are objecting or signed a petition that they don't want it in their backyard? They already have the recycling center. They already have the highway department. Well, I guarantee you that when they bought their property, all that was in place.
All right, Carol. We heard you loud and clear, thank you.
Thank you. Loud and clear. Great.
There's probably in a document somewhere, right? About why the highway department.
Are there any other comments? Don't see anybody else raising their hand. I'll move to close the.
I just have one comment. So it's not my preference to have this on town property. My preference would be the church steeple, just to set the record straight. We're not doing this for the revenue. So just want to make that point clear.
All right, thanks, Tony. All right, so let's close the public comment period. And I guess that brings us to, are we paired to make a vote? And I guess to do that, we make a motion to take a vote on a formal recommendation.
And then we put together the document that kind of, or
Well, yeah,
flesh out the document.
I think we'll put together a document in any case. It's just a matter of, does it include a recommendation by the
Yeah, that makes the document. I think that makes the document stronger if it has a final recommendation. So
What's your opinion, Sam?
Let's move forward. We should probably, I think we should put the document together first.
I agree
I-
with Sam on that. I think that feels,
Yeah.
It's sort of
feels like a
putting
better
that part-
process to me
Yeah,
to
yeah.
have a document to vote that rescind
Yeah.
and to vote on a recommendation.
And that's
That
what
feels
that's what I
better.
thought we were headed
Yeah.
in that direction, right, to review the briefing.
Did the basic documents, so I feel like I'm kind of
You're
there.
like a step ahead of us. because-
Right, right.
Yeah.
You guys see it.
But that, yeah, but I think, you know.
Yeah. I just feel like.
I think we take the responsibility to
Yeah.
make the recommendation
Right.
seriously, and so I'd love to
Yeah.
have, especially as I kind of joined this board halfway through some of this discussion, I'd like the
Right.
opportunity to just, you know, make
Okay.
sure we're all.
And I think
agreed on that
also, I
document.
personally would like to look at the cityscape report
Yeah.
one more time before,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, this has gone on for so long that, you know, I think.
checking it out,
taking
you
a
get a-
chance to review is good.
Oh, no, you're right. But just a recommendation, you're right, yeah,
Agree,
so,
but I just wanna have, I don't know the date of the next meeting.
I think,
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I think that's-
Yeah, yeah,
I agree.
I think, you know, it could be.
He's gonna send out the thing like tomorrow.
Well, that's in the plan.
Yeah.
I mean, my personal opinion is like, you know, I know what's gonna be in this document, then I don't know that that's gonna change my recommendation vote.
Yeah, there's no.
But,
yeah, there's
I mean,
no
you
other
could-
option, you're right
But,
about that, yeah.
You know, if we move to take a vote, then you all can abstain, and then like the next step would be to, or.
I'll
Or
leave it up to-
nay.
You guys are the board, so I'll leave it up to you.
Come back and do it, so,
Would be, we just split basically, if you.
Yeah.
If we vote.
I mean,
Make a motion.
I'll make a motion to vote on it with, you know, with the caveat of getting this letter as we discussed.
I think it's like second,
All right,
but,
I abstain.
you're abstaining.
Okay. It's
oh
okay.
wait, I think you're making a motion.
I was making a motion, like, okay, so.
Motion to-
Motion to take a vote, and we had a second, like, a
A motion to take a vote or a motion?
motion to take a vote.
Oh.
I'll rank for.
Well,
for recommendation.
No, no,
So first we
that's
got
fine.
it,
Alright.
We've got approval for that.
Approval for the vote.
Okay, so then it's, how is everyone gonna vote? You're
Well, that's a
abstaining?
motion.
I'm gonna abstain from the vote, so.
Okay.
Right,
I mean,
because I gotta get going over.
unless something drastic changes between now and October, it's the salt dome is the clear one, my vote. But I wouldn't, you know, any of the other ones, it just doesn't seem like it's happening. It's not like we have the capability to make those things happen and change physics and structural engineering.
Yeah,
I just wanna make sure that we can put the cart forward, so I would like
Yeah.
to read the document, go through it.
Yeah.
Even regardless, it's just doing our homework and making sure whatever I'm putting my stamp of approval on, that I've read it, you know?
I'm on the same page as Sam with that, and I think it's, you know, I wanna make sure that we are showing respect to the folks that are not in favor of this or are impacted by this, that, you know, just to show to them that we're doing absolutely every amount of diligence that we can, and, you know, so that there can be no kind of, oh, there's not here and motive here, or there's this here, like, I wanna make sure that we're showing to the community that we're really doing the fullest diligence, and I'm not saying, Rob, that we haven't, but, you know, I think in terms of process, having a process that is as clear and makes as much sense as possible is important for everybody.
okay. Well, I was hoping to have a more unanimous vote, but as I said, as much as I would love to see it going at the Salt Dome, I mean, I see it going to Steeple, I feel like that we're going to be talking about this for years and years to come, and so I would rather move forward the recommendation for the Salt Dome. I do have a proxy from Brian to vote on his behalf, and, you know, I know he was intent on voting in support of the Salt Dome as well. I do agree that with Rob's point that the document should, you know, should support, you know, the specific recommendation. And ultimately the town board decides, not us.
Yeah.
And so if anything, you know, I feel like we've got to make a recommendation so this process moves forward, or else we're going to be here for another.
So Brian's voted in absentia.
Correct.
All right.
He didn't have the benefit of hearing what we just talked about.
So, and you have that to submit and the documents for the minutes, right?
I do have it.
Well, and I mean,
So that puts us 3-2.
the motion carries.
Motion carries.
Okay.
So what is, so I guess our next step is to schedule this meeting, to prepare a document. And again, I don't think the recommendation, is going to, skew what we include in that document and what potential conclusions the town board can draw from it. Because I think, I think we owe the community a full representation of what we've learned through this board process, and that will be fully reflected in the document we produce. So I will put together a planner for putting this next meeting on the agenda to review the document and add any
This
additional.
gives us an opportunity to look at it and.
Yeah.
Because if we're putting our stand on it, then.
And then we can post it for the public to review as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, any other business or matters that people wanted to bring up?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay.
But it's polling of the
Second.
board.
Oh, the poll on the board, does anyone have any comments officially for on the board?
No,
Okay.
there's nothing that.
Hasn't already been said?
Yeah.
All right, agree with that. So motion to adjourn, I have a second.
Second.
So we are adjourned at 7:58 PM. Thank you, everybody.
Record time.
Good night.
Thank you, folks. Have a good evening.